like the Tri-series, but I keep passing out on the third one because you keep watching it as serialized or a movie. It's okay. Like, I thought, because I didn't watch the first one because I had to pay for it, I just go in the second one, and I was like, ooh, I'm kind of missing some things, but at the same time, it's still the same. It's more nostalgia. It's cool nostalgia.
Okay.
Nostalgia, thank you.
All right, well, let's go ahead and jump into today's episode of Escaping Podcast.
The best podcast in Colorado Springs when it comes to all things geek, nerdy, and everything in between.
And by everything in between, he means the layer of difference between what makes you a hero and what makes you a villain. Today, we're going to take a pretty good look at that and see what makes these characters tick. As always, I am your host, Daniel Rojas, joined by...
Kels for show, a.k.a. Coolius, the Greek god of nonchalantness and the vibe.
And as always with us is our third member of our trio.
Michelle, no intro.
Hey, Michelle.
Hello.
So today is part 2 of our mythology series. Last week we talked about gods and witches and the things between them, the stories that we loved about these different pantheons and different folklores and different mythologies. Mm-hmm. Today we are talking about heroes and villains and where that overlap is between them. So guys, who are our characters today?
I'm going to be talking about a kind of a variety from Hindu goddess Kali over to Thoth from Egypt, Anansi from Africa. So it'll be a variety. But before we start, which would you guys want to be, a hero or a villain?
I always have to be the hero just because in my nature, it just feels good to be good. And it's too easy to be a bad guy.
It takes a talent, though, to be a good villain like Joker.
Word in that sense, but I was more just saying, like, anybody could not give a fuck. It takes more strength and composure to stand for something instead of falling for your own, what's the word I was looking for? Your own vices.
I mean, there is that little saying, if you got to stand for something or you fall for anything.
Word.
That is true.
But where there's no gravity.
Oh. Then you'll tumble like Sandra Bullock for a whole movie.
Mm.
Oh, the movie called Gravity when she was in space.
Yeah.
Talking about Gravity,
Spooky.
do you want to know why I did not watch that movie?
Because it was a bad movie and you figured that out from the trailer?
No. I said I don't know if I want to watch that movie because it's just going to cause me a lot of stress. And then my sister said, why? She survives. So, I mean, she told me the whole plot, so why would I watch it?
Well, you should totally watch Sixth Sense, you know why? Because he's dead the whole movie.
Dead the whole
and
time.
Like,
Nothing bad's going to happen to Bruce
like,
Willis.
well, thank you for that one.
Yep.
Right? Like,
She does it often. She'll tell you the whole... You never ask my sister about a movie. She'll tell you the whole thing.
Word. So is that safe to assume, Michelle, you would prefer to be a villain?
I think so. They have more fun.
I'd have to side with Michelle on that one, too. I think mine would be kind of like one of the characters I'm going to talk about today, Medusa, where I'm not trying to be a villain, but keep putting me in that corner,
Word.
and you're going to get turned to stone.
Medusa? I barely knew her. Am I right, guys?
No, he's not. He's not right. Today we are recording from Kelsey's house. I'll give you the address if you go ahead and message me at escapingpodcast@gmail.com.
A.K.A. the Mount Olympus of the Springs, baby. This is what God does his thing, yo. You heard?
Feel free to kidnap him.
Yo! No, I actually do. I need that training. I need to prep.
So another one of the characters I'm talking about is Koschei the Deathless, and then he has that kind of same duality where he's a villain, but...
I don't know that I'm that familiar with
Yeah,
him.
I'm about to say with Pantheon and see.
So I've been kind of sticking with some folklore stuff. Today I decided to mix it up with some actual mythology, but since we talked about Baba Yaga last time and Vasilisa, I had to talk about another character in there because this is heroes and villains.
Yeah.
And this is a villain who, much like the Ice King, may not be the worst person around.
Or Britta.
Britta is the worst, but in the best way.
Aww.
Yeah.
Respect.
Unfiltered. Kelsey, who are some people that you're talking about today?
The big two besides the fathers of these characters, and they're going to be Hercules and my guy Thor, Odin's son.
Now, those are two heroes. Do you have any villains you're going to talk about?
As far as villains, yeah, I'm talking about like the animals and the creatures and the mythological beasts that these heroes had to overcome in these journeys to, be the champion in these tales, to become the heroes in these legends. Like the Kraken, then you also have the Hydra, Cerberus. And then, some people think they're good, some people think they're bad luck, but then you also have the leprechauns.
Well, you can call Cerberus a bad boy every day, but I know who's a good boy.
He has 3 heads. That just means more pups to smuggle with.
So, what is it that makes these characters heroic or villainous?
I think with some of mine, like Anansi, he's the African trickster god.
He Black Loki.
Or the African coyote.
So there's like a myth about Anansi, about how he brought disease to the people. And so that kind of makes him a villain in this story. Mm-hmm. A lot of outcomes with the stories with him don't have a good outcome. But
For the heroes or for himself?
for the people surrounding him or the gods.
Okay.
Yeah. So like with this story, it's a classical story, and it's so Anansi has different stories. There's the Jamaican Anansi, there's Ashanti Anansi.
Ashanti.
And-
I remember
Oh,
Ashanti.
baby.
Yeah.
I want to rock with you.
And she was kind of a trickster too, in that she got me to buy all of her albums.
Yeah.
Yo, don't do that. This here today, boy, black don't crack. Baby. Black don't crack.
And Ashanti don't Chianti. I don't know.
Okay.
I was like,
Leave that to me. Leave the bad jokes to me.
the reason that
You're better
there's
than that. You're better than that.
the reason that there's the two different versions is because during the slave trade, a lot of the Ashanti tribe members ended up in Jamaica, so they have some differing stories with Anansi.
This is totally off book, but it just reminded me.
Yeah.
I learned about the Gullah tribe. Do you guys know about that?
Gullah Gullah Island?
No.
Well, that's the thing. They were slaves who created their own, escaped and created their own kind of not a village, but kind of.
Mm-hmm.
In America, it was off to in the nowhere. But the Gullah tribe, I think is where we get Gullah Island from.
And it makes
I
sense because
think-
they were all black.
Yes.
Being up in your polywall.
And that's the thing. I think Gullah Island was about those people who escaped and
Whoa, those people?
Yes.
All right. in context, it works. I'm not upset. But it's also interesting. So that Ashanti tribe and the original origin is kind of like how you have the Greek and the Roman mythologies. They're pretty similar, but they have the variations depending on what part of that country that you're from.
And you have to think about their experiences during the slave trade when they're on the ships, when they land, their life story.
Right.
How does the mythological gods fit into that? So I think they came up with some of their own experience and stories. And for this story about how he brought disease to man is because he met with the sky god who was like, here's some sheep. And he was like, okay, well, I'm just going to do it to go get this land. But it was all women. And that's what his motive was.
Oh.
So he went there and gave them the sheep and married every single woman there.
He gave them the sheep because he was the goat.
And then the sky god picked up on it. She got pissed and went and took all of his wives.
A straight man, but not a straight man. let me do all that.
And so she took all his wives because she's bitter. Or he's bitter,
Oh.
I should say. And left one of them who was all sick. The sick wife was like, well, here's a gourd, which is kind of, what is that, like a squash? Or
Yeah.
I have no idea what that
A
was.
Yeah.
gourd is a squash, a pumpkin is also
A Jamaican pumpkin?
Well,
Jamaican
it
pumpkin
almost
pie?
looks
What
like
are
a
you doing?
butternut squash, I think.
Oh, I'm not a fan of names.
So when they're hollowed out, you can fill it with water and stuff.
Oh, that's what
Yeah.
anime.
Yeah, they've got it on the stick. And
Yeah.
exactly,
Oh, I
exactly.
thought it was just pottery.
No,
or,
that is an
didn't know.
old days water bottle.
I did not know that. You learn something new every day.
Absolutely.
And she was like, if you go to this river and fill it up, I can put all my sickness into that and just contain it. And then I forget how it goes, but he went and he was dancing because after she drank or put her disease in there, she became the most beautiful woman.
Yeah, once you get it out,
Yeah.
everything else is good to go.
So Nyami, and I think it's pronounced, it's either Nami or Nyami.
How do you feel like it's pronounced?
I think it's Nami.
Let's go ahead and say it's Konami.
So the sky god was like, well, shit. He ended up with a beautiful wife, and all these women I just stole are hideous compared to her. So he's pissed off.
It's like when you see a Kardashian without the makeup on.
Yeah.
Wait a second, you look like people from my hometown.
Or they see their pictures as when they were children, and they're like, that's not you now.
And that's the thing too that's crazy because these men have, in plastic surgery in general, you have sex with who you think they are physically what you're looking at.
Yeah.
But then you have to realize once you start having children and reproducing with these people, them children ain't gonna have those qualities. They gonna look like that level 1 star of the game.
That's why that guy in China who sued his wife.
Yeah.
Well, your kids aren't going to have that DLC. Your kids aren't there with the extra skins that you paid $24.99 for.
Yeah.
Khloe Kardashian's kids gonna look like that grandpa OJ. That's all I gotta say about that shit.
This is true. So Anansi was performing one night and he's just dancing, and the god said, "Go grab him. I want to see him perform too." Well, he was trying to get the gourd, and he had
The god was going for the gourd. Mm-hmm. Okay.
but he had camouflaged it as a drum, and then they started dancing. Well, before they could do the performance for Nami, Anansi had opened it and threw all of the water onto the sky god. And that's how he released all the diseases onto man.
So she basically spit on the way the same way Pumpkin spit on New York in The Flavor of Love.
Yes.
And that shit got popped.
And Pumpkin is a gourd.
Boom! Yo, Flavor of Love. Oh
Yeah.
my God.
You remember when there was a show where Flavor Flav was the prize?
Oh, God, yeah.
Yes.
Ugh.
Desperate
But
women.
as a black man being the prize instead of being... Hold on. Wait.
There were better options than Flavor Flav.
Yep.
You know what? Whatever. I'm gonna let that one go.
So I guess, he was the villain in this case. Does that mean, based on their folklore, we wouldn't have had disease and famine? Had he not?
I mean, it's one of those things where if he hadn't, someone else would have come along to do it.
Like Pandora's box. Like,
Yeah.
and
what
that-
if she didn't open it?
It-
But
someone
eventually
else would.
somebody would have.
It's the whole thing. We were talking about it yesterday before you guys showed up. Even if we could go back in time and stop Harambe from getting killed or slash the tires of the family whose kid got into the cage, the universe would have fixed that.
Yeah, that's true.
Eventually somebody would have ate that fruit. If we're going back to Eden's time, so eventually that knowledge would have got into the world.
Oh,
Yeah.
the second wave of humanity, yes.
And
We talked about it in
Yeah.
time travel, when it's set in
Exactly.
stone.
yeah, I was trying to say like some things just have to
When,
happen
when it's a fixed point.
Yeah.
so we could get here. So certain events in history, not saying they were good, but I'm just saying
They had to happen.
they had to happen. So
It's
if you hear me
unfortunate,
say
but-
things like, well,
No,
Yeah,
we literally
but-
have episodes in the catalog. If you go back and
just
listen to any of
saying.
our episodes, you will catch Kelsey saying
I'm just saying.
some shit.
I'm just saying I'm not glad it happened, but it had to happen for this moment right now to transpire.
So
Don't flip with the time stream out there, people. That's the moral of that story.
you know it's already happening.
Deja vu.
Already happening, will happen, has happened.
Yes.
Has happened, will happen, never happened. So one of the characters I want to talk about today is Koschei the Deathless, and this is another Slavic character. So he's deathless because he's made the original Horcrux. He has put his soul in a needle, which is inside a duck, which is inside a hare, which is inside a hollowed out log, which is in a lake, which floats on an
God,
island.
the most random objects.
Yep, it's a turducken where the meaty bits are.
There's
the
a
soul.
hole. There's a hole in the cup, and the cup's at the
There-
bottom of the
there-
lake.
there's a bump on the log on the hole in the bottom of the sea. There's a frog on the bump on the log in the hole in the bottom of the sea. There's a fly on the frog on the bump on the log in the hole in the bottom of the sea.
My
and
God.
underneath all of that is Koschei's soul.
Yo, nutty.
Yeah.
How long did it take you to learn that song? That little rhyme.
Oh, that for today?
Yeah.
No, that's just in my head. I could keep going, and I've ruined my roommate's day offs of work and just gatherings where
Whole
we're
life
hanging out.
experience.
Yeah, it's a whole thing. It's a hole in the bottom of the thing. So Koschei, he how do I put it? He became this way because he was betrayed by people he believed in, people who were with him, and he was the last one remaining, but he was cursed. And so, because he couldn't die unless someone destroyed his soul, he put it in that needle, in the egg, in the duck, in the hare, in the tree, in the log, in the lake, in the island.
So you would have to find all of them.
You'd only really need to find one.
Really?
You find the island. You find the island, you find the lake. You find the lake, you find the hollowed out log. You find the hollowed out log, you'll
the duck.
find the hare, which is inside, which has a duck inside of it, which has an egg inside of it, which has a needle inside of it.
So he really wasn't that creative.
No, but he figured, who's going to do this?
Yes.
But he's not really a bad guy. He's kind of just like Ice King from Adventure Time, where he is kidnapping princesses, he's kidnapping people's wives, he's doing all this crazy stuff, but he doesn't hurt them. He just wants them to be his companion. And then after something like 7 years, he's like, okay, you can go.
Oh, so Stockholm Syndrome, and then
Yeah.
try to release them.
But only for about 7 years. And even if they came back afterwards, he's like, no, thank you, you were here.
Did he have a penguin named Gunther as well?
No, he had a needle in an egg, in a duck in a hare, in a log in a lake,
did say
in an island in the world.
That's wild.
Kelsey's just trying to remember this rhyme.
So, of course, like I said last week, you've got your Vasilisas and you got your Ivans, and those are just the generic name of characters. And there's an Ivan who hears that there's a man being tortured because he couldn't pay his debt. And Koschei is like, hey, I'm going to keep torturing this guy, and anyone who pays his debt, I will steal their wife.
Mr. Steal Your Girl, for real.
But this Ivan's like, I'm not married. I'm 17. I think I found a loophole, sir. So
Are
he
they
goes,
married by 17 back then?
not him. He was an adventurer.
Was he young and sweet
Yes.
and only 17? You can, Dan. You can, Dan. Having the time of your life. I'm just saying. See that fat bone
Thank
girl.
you, Abba.
No.
No, Baba Yaga.
And did it was
Abba Yaga.
this Ivan purple?
No.
Because if you ooze, you lose, baby.
So this Ivan, he goes and being young and dumb and full of you know what, goes to pay off this man's debts because he thinks, because I don't have a wife, I can do this. After he frees this man, this guy becomes his ride or die. He is the best wingman. He's his best friend. He's like, listen, I'm here to help you. Eventually, there's a princess in another land, and this guy goes, and even though her dad says no one can visit her, he gets her out. They get married. Not the best friend, but Ivan and this princess. But Koschei has been watching very carefully, and he's like, okay, well, you did the thing I said you shouldn't do, and now you have a wife, so I'm going to take her. He goes to get her back, and Koschei has this horse that is faster than any other horse, and it can talk.
A Rapidash?
And it can talk. Rapidash, holy shit, wow.
Oh, because there's a rapid dash and... Never mind. Go
So,
ahead.
the horse catches up to him. Koschei says, this was funny. This was really funny of you. If I ever see your fucking face around here again, I'm going to cut you to pieces. Ivan's like, bet. And goes and does it again, and Koschei cuts him to pieces. Throws him in the river, and these spirits put him back together using the water of life. And tell him, go seek the Baba Yaga. That's how you'll get a horse faster than Koschei's. He goes to Baba Yaga's hut and says, I need a horse. Her seeing a great opportunity says, cool, take care of the horses for 3 days. And this will be fine. Knowing that the horses will not listen to him, they can talk, and they're evil. But before he got there, he saw some chickens. And he could have killed the chickens for food, but having played Legend of Zelda,
He was gonna
realized,
ride the chicken.
he goes, no, you know what?
Those are chocobos.
Yes, and he goes, you know what? I'm not gonna kill him. And the chickens go, thank you. Hey.
Wait, the chickens thank them?
Yes.
So back in the day, the animals
Everything
could talk?
Animals could talk.
So what took the animals' voices from them?
Oh,
Some evil
the
spirit. Christianity.
It was the lack of magic in the land that made them silent.
Oh, because they stopped believing?
Exactly. So he goes and she's like, take care of the horses, lets them out of the stable, and they were supposed to run off. But instead they come back like a few minutes, kind of heads hung. And she's like, why aren't you running away? I'm like, well, we were going to, but a horde of chickens stopped us and brought us back here. Because now the chickens are like, Ivan didn't kill us. He's our ride or die. By the last night, Baba Yaga knew she'd have to give him a horse. So she planned to betray him and kill him and eat him.
And this Baba Yaga you speak of, is it just one singular Baba Yaga, or are there multiple Baba Yagas? Because I know Baba Yagas can be a term used for witches, or is it a particular
in this one?
singular
It's
witch?
one.
Okay.
The same one that you had to
Yes,
about
with
previously.
Vasilisa.
Okay.
And she's just ageless. Well, except she looks old. But so in that
she
night,
eats your soul.
he took the smallest of the horses, who actually took a liking to Ivan, and took off. He manages to outrun Koschei and try to get his wife back. He gets her back, and they're on the run from Koschei. And he hears from the same spirits, if you go to this island and you look in this hollowed log, you will find a hare. Inside that hare is a duck. Inside that duck is an egg. Inside that egg is a needle. So while he goes to make his way to this island, his wife gets caught again. He goes back to Koschei, and this time he's just got the egg. And Koschei is like, oh, big shit. Look what's in your hand. And he's like, yeah, I'm going to need my wife back. And he's like, fine. Just put that back where you came. Put that thing back where it came from, or so help me. And instead, after he gets his wife back, he crushes the egg in his hand.
But what about the needle in the egg?
It stabbed his hand, but if that was the cost of getting his wife back and killing this deathless person,
But crushing the egg, wouldn't it release the soul?
no,
Yeah, that's what I would think.
Oh, okay.
it destroyed it.
Okay.
And
So it was
Koschei
like a being
dies.
with it.
Yes.
Okay.
So that's Koschei. And as he's dying, he's crying and he's like, all I wanted was company. All I wanted was someone to see me as a human.
All I wanted was you.
Yes.
It's like the high school loner who was
Paramore,
always
baby.
bullied. It was
Yes.
like, I just wanted a friend.
Well, that's the thing. Because
But you just killed everybody. So.
But sure. But some of these people do things for reasons that in their mind are right.
Yeah.
But
He didn't kill him. He just kidnapped
He
him.
kidnapped them. Same way Odin has done things for the Norse people or for
Yeah.
his children that he thinks are good.
Mm-hmm.
But when they come back to fruition, you're like, you were just a selfish old man.
Yeah.
Exactly. And speaking of Odin, I gotta talk about my boy Thor, but not the comic book Thor. We don't save that shit for next podcast, baby. When we get into mythology and them comic books. But like the more traditional Norse Thor, he was a red bearded, beer drinking warrior. Like there's a couple of things that are very similar. Like he also had 2 goats that he used to fly by because they would pull his chariot through the sky. He
Tooth
also
Gnasher and Bone Grinder, I would say.
Yeah.
in the comic books, but in like the actual Norse mythology, there's some words I'm not even gonna try to pronounce.
Yeah.
You could Google that shit.
It is hard.
Exactly. Like Mjolnir was hard. Made out of metal. And it's like, so Thor also had the hammer, which is most famously known for. He also had his power belt, which people don't realize comes from the mythology. And that belt like greatly increases his strength. Thor also had these power gloves, if you will, that allowed him the ability to lift Mjolnir in the mythology.
He just made all his bodybuilding gear into.
Yes, absolutely.
Like, I'm strong now. Look at my muscles, they're so vast. I have
My lifting belt and my gloves.
Check out
Yes.
my Bowflex of Thunder.
My powerlifting shoes.
Yeah, so, and of course, Thor went about doing what he was doing, and he gave inspiration to like the Vikings and things like that. So when they was about to get ready for battle, they invoke Thor's name. The rain will fall. They go out there, rape, pillage, and slaughter. And since these are old gods, they didn't have no issue with that shit. So it's like one of those things also, like when we talk about heroes being villains, like to some people he is a hero, but to the people that he victimized and he destroyed and the people that got raped in his name, they're going to see him as villainous. And we can see now that how his symbol over time has been co-opted to represent some negativity. Because if you didn't know, the swastika initially was a symbol for Thor. Because back then, during his heyday, he was more popping than Jesus in the North streets and shit.
Well, before
That's why...
that was Buddhism, or is there a difference?
Well, I didn't see.
between
I didn't know that
Yeah.
aspect, but also like just that's why we do a podcast. We learn some new shit every day. But in that aspect, like that's why I didn't learn about the Buddha. But I was like, I fuck with Thor, so I randomly Google shit. It's like, before this not even meant this. This was meant. That's why Hitler's people was called the stormtroopers because they took that from store because they was storming shit. And it's like, damn, that's fucked up. Whether you're real or not, you could stand for something, but then over time you can't control how people treat your image. Like I said before on the series.
That's the thing. It's like the extremist groups,
Coronavirus.
and it's like the extremist groups that take over some of
Exactly.
these symbols that shouldn't mean a negative.
Exactly. And then you just got to sit there and be like, well, it's too late now. The bad guys got it.
Not to go completely off point, but did you guys ever play Assassin's Creed 3?
No.
Which one was that? They were.
So there was
A video
Assassin's
game
Creed,
with a bad
Assassin's Creed
movie.
Brotherhood, Assassin's Creed
Michael Fassbender.
Revelations, and then there was Assassin's Creed 2, 2,
The
and then all
Egyptian
that.
one, and-
But
yeah.
Assassin's Creed 3 was the end of the main character's storyline, the one who was connecting with his past. And
Yeah.
he had a choice at the end. You could either save the world and be its savior, or you could let it die and let something new be birthed from it. And he's like, what happens if I save it? And you realize that, yes, he would have words of wisdom, and he would bring everyone together. But after a certain amount of time, they'd start taking his words out of context. And they would be zealots, and they would kill other people in his name, even though he said bring everyone together.
Yeah.
Same thing with, the symbols like that. Someone will take it and run with it to a destructive degree.
Exactly. And like I always say too, like, Thursday is Thor's day. Once again, if you haven't heard that before, that's how poppin' and dope Thor is. He literally has a day that we use now, even post Jesus and the whole
And
Roman
Wednesday is
Catholic.
Odin's Day.
Exactly, the Roman Catholic, all this shit. They still was like, no, we don't call this shit Jesus Day or God Day or Jehovah's Day or Shehovah's Noon. We're gonna be like,
She-Hulk
no.
Noon? That's my favorite Owen Wilson Jackie Chan movie.
Oh my glob. Let's make it happen. Wow, guys. Wow, like seriously right now. She's here. She's amazing. Like, I'm not going to do a Jackie Chan voice.
No, and
time
you
is
shouldn't.
sensitive.
Yeah, we shouldn't.
Oh, I shouldn't.
I'll do his uncle's voice from the cartoon, but I won't do Jackie's voice.
Jackie!
No, it's one more thing, Jackie.
You right.
more Wi-Fi, Michelle. You more Wi-Fi, Michelle.
And low-key, that cartoon was underrated as fuck.
But now people are using Jackie Chan's symbol and being destructive, much like Odin and
Exactly. And then just like Thor, you have on the Greek side, like his equivalent would be the boy Hercules.
Heracles.
Did you say Blackalis?
Heracles.
Oh, Hercules.
Heracles.
Yeah. Like HE 3Ks. Not that bad. EL.
No.
I know. I just wanted to say it. But yeah, just like with Hercules, and that's what I always loved about their dynamic in the comic between him and Thor, which, of course, next podcast will talk about that more. But they're very similar. And even with Jesus, it's that trope of we are our father's sons. Our fathers don't respect us. We're always trying to gain our father's favor, and we love humanity more than we low-key love the gods and the people that raised us. That's how we told this story. But at the same time, when you get into the crux of it, like Hercules out there doing wild ass shit too.
Yeah.
Fucking bitches, bears, and lions. He's killing, he's slaughtering, he's raping, doing all that shit.
What did he do to his own family?
Oh my God, so
that
many
shit too.
things.
But then from Hercules, we get the Spartan race because they're supposed to be the direct descendants of his bloodline, the demigod shit. And Hercules went through his trials, like the 12 trials, and he did all these things too.
Which, the 12 trials is something I would like to talk about. I mean, yes, we're talking about mythology, but I really do want us to talk more about mythology.
That's a whole other podcast. Because even talking about one, we could just be on that for the whole.
And I think even last week we talked about the vindictiveness of Hera.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. Yep.
And so.
Shout out to Kevin Sorbo one more time.
Yep.
Word.
So with these kinds of characters, there has to be an overlap. Yes, many people can see someone as a villain in these mythologies, and many people can see others as a hero. But to us, the commoners, to us, the people who would not be either of those, if we were living out of time, we would see them as one or the other. There are many people, like we talked about last week, maybe you're just a weaver, and you know that the goddess of weaving has shown up.
Yeah.
And you see her as a villain because you know the gods are vindictive, even though the gods see themselves as heroes. But then you have others, like young Vasilisa, who goes to Baba Yaga's hut and sees her as a savior, as an imparter of knowledge. Where does that overlap hit with you guys? Where do you see these heroes doing villainous things or these villains doing heroic things?
Yeah, I think this one would be a hero doing villainous things, I would say. She's the goddess Kali from the Hindu mythology.
Kali Ma.
Yeah.
Kali Ma. Oh, that shit from Indiana Jones?
Yes.
When they ate that whole heart. Yo.
And she's still worshipped today, and now you see kind of the double version of her, the warrior, where she has the severed head and the stone, or the swords. And the other hand, if you look, because she has the 4 arms, she has the nurturing side, the mother divine.
Many people will say Shiva.
Shiva come out. If you watch
and with Hindu gods, you have to understand they come in different avatars.
Of course.
Just like Rama is like the 7th
just
avatar
like
of the
Kiyoshi.
But with her, I mean, she was the demon hunter. So she was created by all of the gods.
Word.
They were trying to kill Raktabji, and I probably ruined that.
Just know, folks, some of these names we are not super familiar with, and while we may have spent a week trying to get them down, there's always a chance we're gonna butcher them.
Yes.
And I didn't try, so I don't see them.
That's because you picked Thor and Hercules.
Yeah, baby. Keep it simple.
So his other name is the Blood Seed God. Anytime you tried to kill one of the demons that was produced by him, if their blood touched the ground, there was another demon.
Yo, like a curse seal, blood seal, and
so the gods got together and they said, okay, we're going to work together and create a powerful deity to get the demons. And this is one birth story out of many for Kali. And she came about. So she was created during this war. And her thing was every time she killed a demon, she sucked them dry.
Gross.
Drank all of their blood.
Or a good time.
Or a great time.
Yeah, baby.
And then finally,
Yeah.
for the blood seed god, she chopped his head off with her sword and sucked him dry. Blood.
I'm not mature enough for this conversation.
No,
Remind.
neither
It was
am I.
sucked him dry from blood.
Okay. Well, you know where the blood rushes. Anyway.
So you think of her as a hero because she's like saving mankind and the gods from these demons. But she's also known for becoming very bloodthirsty on the battlefield. Every time she gets a taste of it, it's that killing motion.
Sure,
Like, she
of
just
course.
can't stop. Yeah.
Well, and that's the thing, when gods who don't know their limit.
Yeah.
Like one of the ones that I see that overlap with, again, another hero, quote unquote, being villainous, are the many, many actions of Zeus that caused Hera to be as vindictive as she was. Hera was not innately vindictive.
She was a woman scorned.
Yes.
Yeah.
And to quote Jay-Z, once a good girl goes bad, what? She's gone forever.
Well, and the thing was, she wasn't scorned once or twice or even 3 times. Zeus did this so many times and didn't give a shit. And then at some points would be like, oh, what are you going to do? Oh, what are you going to do? But then other people who were in the high temples, who were there, Zeus is the best.
Yeah.
Word, can I victim blame real quick? Like, why didn't she just leave him? Like, she knew
That's
he was
not
never
how it
gonna
works with the
churn.
gods.
Unfortunately,
It's just
that's not how
why
that
don't you
works.
just get up and go? You're a goddess. You have your own energy. Just leave his sorry
Because
ass.
Zeus, as we talked about last week, did have the history of not only freeing everyone by killing his father,
Yerp.
still had that same insidious seed inside of him. And even though he tried to be better than his dad, may have become worse. Because instead of just killing these people, instead of just eating them, he realized, I'll put myself at top, and I'll make sure none of them ever question me again. My own brother, Hades, I will fuck him over, and I'll make him think it was his fault.
Zeus is gonna pound him like a boy and keep him a bottom because he wanted to stay atop.
But the thing with Hades, though, is like, when it came down to the realms being divided, he is the only one who has never sat on Olympus. He is the one god that has always been in his
shit,
own
you're
domain.
right.
Yeah, he's only been in his domain, and he never interferes or tries to go to the human worlds because he always says, I'm busy, I'm down here counting souls.
It's like when you have a family function. It's like, why don't you come out your room? Why don't you come visit? Because every time I come to you, talk shit.
You guys
I'm gonna
talk
stay
shit
here.
about me all
Why
the
would I
time.
come up there with
Exactly.
you?
And
Beautiful people.
Anytime he, much like the devil of the mythological Bible, came to see God.
Lucifer?
And,
Yeah.
Yes, and had to go in with the
morning
angels.
star?
Had to go in with the angels to
The
see
day
God.
spring?
When he would go in, even
Beelzebub.
the Christian God was like, the fuck do you
Jehovah.
want, you
Yeah.
little shrimp? Look at you, you boil-faced little fuck. You weebo piece of shit.
But you have to think, Hades, compared to the other gods, like, they can toy with people all they want, but Hades, he is in full control over his domain. You're not leaving, you don't have a say in which river you go through.
He
That's
also
it.
found more true love than any of the other gods.
Correct.
Exactly. Home field advantage.
Yeah.
They love me here. And
And
just
people-
to compare, I'm sorry.
Oh, no.
Just to compare, like the Doctor Doom, like the whole Marvel universe, like he's a bad guy, he's a word.
Ask any Latvian.
They're like, Doom is love, Doom is love. Nobody cares about Latveria.
Like,
he loves
he
us.
cares about us
I
when
am
no
fed,
one else
I have
cares.
wealth.
And Hades, the thing is,
We have free Wi-Fi.
yes, he's depicted as a bad guy.
Yeah,
Yes.
because he kidnapped Persephone. But,
But look at the actions of the other gods.
yeah.
Hades may have done this one thing of kidnapping Persephone, but she is in love with him.
Hades is not known for having children with mortals.
Exactly.
But maybe
Hades doesn't trick mortals into doing menial tasks
Yeah.
Word.
just so he can
It
curse
was
them.
just Persephone.
And maybe that was their like kink. Maybe that was the thing. Like, no, I'm gonna pretend like I don't know you. I'm gonna go to the bar. I want you to
Yeah.
kidnap me, tie me up.
Here's one
you
of
know
the
how I
things,
like
though.
it, Daddy.
The underworld, and this is one of my favorite things about it. It's a bad place for bad people,
And a great trilogy
and
as
a
well.
good place for good people. And if
Word.
you were just middle of the road, if you're middle of the road, it's just a place.
Yeah.
And Hades kept that order. He's depicted as a bad guy and possibly the worst of all of them, but that's because they're not willing to look at themselves.
Exactly. He's a necessity like Galactus.
And
You
even-
need death for life to mean anything.
And even though he had to come to a compromise because he kind of tricked her when Demeter, her mother,
Oh,
came
yeah.
to get her
Yeah,
back.
isn't she the god
He
of the
gave
harvest?
Yeah, he says they gave her...
Herpes?
No.
That's Hermes. My bad.
The mythology says that when she left again, he had put a pomegranate seed because if you eat from the underworld, you can no longer leave.
Yes.
But she
'Cause
would.
you're a part of
But
it.
his compromise was, hey, half the year you get to go above ground, away from the underworld with your mother, and then the other half you're down here with me. She was okay with that, according to mythology, and that's how we got the seasons. Because when she was down with Hades, it was winter, the droughts,
because she's the goddess of...
yeah. And when she was with her, and that's when the seeds were planted. And
Literally.
then during spring and summer, she was with her mother.
Yo, that makes so much
So
sense.
is he really a villain?
He's
No.
not. He's just their scapegoat.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So, real quick, while we're still in Greek mythology,
Mm-hmm.
I need to talk about a Gorgon.
Yes.
Possibly the most mislabeled villain of
The
all time.
Demigorgon from Stranger Things?
No.
Or a Gorgon that's on Krakoa and Beast with Wolverine.
No.
Demigorgon.
I'm talking about Medusa.
Dungeons and Dragons.
Medusa the
The
Gorgon.
Inhuman.
No.
The wrestler?
No.
Okay.
Medusa the Gorgon, who was birthed
beautiful
of her.
snake hair.
She was just born. She of these two siblings, yes, but again, Greek mythology.
And like we all are over here because we were birthed.
Yes.
We can't control how we got here or who made us.
Yeah.
But she just wanted to be left alone.
Like the Hulk.
That's the thing. She wanted her space. She's not a bad person. The reason she was depicted as a bad individual or creature, as they called her, she was not a creature. She had her own agency. The problem was these dumb fucks couldn't leave her alone long enough. And so, yes, they get turned to stone. They get turned to stone. Much like the Electric Light Orchestra song, Turn to Stone.
But she was basically like, I'm not a killer, but don't push me.
Yeah, and she even isolates herself. And these guys keep coming after her. They keep going for her. So at some point, eventually, someone shows up, and there is a whole White Witch of Narnia, Lion the Witch in the wardrobe scene where her courtyard is full of statues. And she's like,
Like Percy Jackson.
and she's like, I told them not
That
to
was
come
Medusa
here.
and Percy Jackson.
Yeah, I told them not to come here. I told everyone to leave me alone. And yet these men don't respect my boundaries. They keep coming in. They
Like
keep
men
pushing.
do.
Yeah, they think I'm going to be the guy to change her. I'm going to be the guy to do this. But she's said time and again, leave me the fuck alone.
And this has happened centuries, millennia ago. A woman is telling you, leave me the fuck alone.
Yep.
No,
and what
does
are men
not mean
doing?
yes.
Yes.
And what are these men doing? Fuck that. Fuck that
Until
shit.
eventually she gets her head cut off. And I think that's a tragic end.
It is. It really is.
If you would have left her alone, these people wouldn't be turned to
But
stone.
what was his name who did it? Perseus. Mm-hmm. All he wanted was to make his name known.
That's it. And that's
Oh,
most
he
of
They
did
it.
it-
say there was a bigger mission, but
There
what
was
is
not.
it that Perseus wants? Just like Hercules and
Exactly.
Achilles.
He wants the notoriety.
As the
He
kids would
wants to be a
say,
hero.
he did it for clout.
Exactly.
He get it for them likes.
To a
retweet.
recognition
Yes.
to Zeus and the other
Exactly.
gods.
And
See what
and
I did,
again,
Father?
But that's the thing again. You're going to impress these gods who are worse than the people they call evil.
Yes.
The ones they call evil are either different or misunderstood. It's crazy because even the Minotaur,
Minotaur.
Minotaur, yeah.
who was in the
Labyrinth.
labyrinth, was
Yeah.
down there.
Gaia's Earth.
What was his
Against-
name? Minos.
Who was down there against his own volition.
Yeah.
Who was stuck down there. So of course he's gonna attack anyone, you know. And it's like
Didn't they
he-
steal his bride,
Yep.
correct? Yeah.
And you took his pussy. Yo, I was snapped too.
Exactly.
And it's funny because the Minotaur and Medusa are both in the latest Wonder Woman movie as well. If y'all haven't seen that shit,
Yeah.
check that shit out. It's good. Let me be more specific. The latest animated Wonder Woman movie features Medusa and the Minotaur, and I just had to say
What's
like,
the title of it?
shit, Wonder Woman Blood Feud or
Bloodlines.
Yeah,
Bloodlines,
Okay,
yes.
yeah.
And even her first one that came out years ago, amazing. Just like her live action. So long story short, everything they do with Wonder Woman that's a movie, animated live action, amazing.
Yes.
DC, pay attention.
Absolutely. So, what are some overlaps you see? Where do you see some heroes being villainous or some villains being heroic?
I don't know. It's like one of those things too. Like I always make the metaphor, like even Superman is a bad guy to Lex Luthor. So it's all about the perspective. Like I'm a nice guy, but somebody's gonna be like, oh, that dude's such a dick. Like maybe you just caught me on a bad day, player.
Have you been reading my blog?
No, I read your mind. I am strife. Anyways, but it's just like it's just like it all depends on who's telling the story and who has control of said narrative. Because even with Cerberus, Cerberus, my apologies, the dog that protects the door to the underrealm, he was a villain in Hercules' story, but he was just doing his job.
Yeah.
Right.
Everybody can't come through and out all willy-nilly, or there'd be mad chaos.
This is Hades' home. Why?
Exactly.
Don't just welcome
Hercules was intruding.
Yeah.
Cerberus like, no, this is my stand my ground law, bro. I'm gonna bite the fuck out you with my snake tail.
Which we
and
would
3
expect-
times.
Yes.
Which we would expect any dog to do for us.
Yes.
That's why we have pets and animals to protect us unbeknownst to our awareness.
Well, and see the loyalty from Cerberus to Hades.
Yes.
You know, a dog isn't going to be that loyal, you know, unless.
Yeah.
Yeah. You feed them?
Yeah.
Yeah. And sometimes
And
that shit happen.
Hermes, the messenger god, he was able to go between the underworld and the human realm in Olympus. And the thing is, he's never had an issue with
Exactly. And he's taking care of his dog. As the saying goes, a walked dog never shits in the house.
Yeah.
Hades took care of his dog.
Exactly. And even with like I was talking about like Thor, how his image has been sullied over time. Mm-hmm. You can look at things like I ain't have this written down, but the boy, his name is Saint Nicholas or Saint Claus. The boy Santa Claus.
Sinterklaas.
Santa Claus. He was originally this dude that brought like gifts and whatnot, but also underneath that he had a demon with him, Krampus.
He was the yin to his yang.
Exactly.
And that's the holiday I myself celebrate as Krampus Day.
Exactly, because you know about Santa Claus, they always talk about, yo, he gives gifts, but he gives cold. Santa Claus don't give you cold. It's that nigga Krampus that rolls up like, ha, you don't get shit because you're a piece of shit little kid.
Well, yeah, because
cold.
you are a misbehaved child and your parents didn't teach you right. I shall take you.
So,
Exactly.
So with that, while it's happening, while Krampus is doing his thing, Santa Claus is like, great job, Krampus.
Yeah.
Got another one. And they're arm in arm, slamming back their pints. It's not like,
Good cut, bad cut.
It's not like, oh, well, you're the antithesis to me. It's like, hey, buddy, you ready?
Yeah.
It's another year for us to go out and do this.
And to be honest, Loki did a lot more for helping out the gods than Thor did because Thor was so narcissistic.
Yep.
Yeah.
And
I
Loki
wonder why
was
he's
there.
one of my favorite characters.
I can see the resemblance.
Oh, you can see the abs, girl. Don't do that. Oh, that's Chris Hemsworth. My bad. Sometimes I get my whites confused. My fault.
I would like to think the real Thor had like a beer belly, the amount he drank.
Like Fat Thor or Thick Thor. My
Bro
apologies.
Thor.
Thick
Bro Thor.
or Bro Thor. Lebowski Thor.
Dad bod Thor.
Yes. Hold on. Never mind. I ain't gonna say all of that shit. Child support.
So, one of the last questions is, what connects these characters to humanity? Like, what is it that we love about them that makes us connected to them in a way?
For me, it's just like the story of a hero. Like, you can find out that you're of godliness, which, depending on how you view the world, we all are divine in a sense because we all come from the same structure. We all come from the same energy. And I joke about certain things on here, but at the end of the day, we all are in control of our own bodies, and our body is a universe. So in that sense, if you take what I want to say, we're all are godly, and we all sin. I hope we all sin to be better people. So you hear a story about somebody that comes from the bottom, like for example Hercules, just like his father Zeus. He did not know he was of God blood,
Yeah.
and then he finds that out, and he's trying to be better than the gods. He's trying to be a hero. He's trying to do these things to get favor. Just like Thor, most of it is for narcissism, but
Acknowledgement.
But if you can take that element out and flip it to give it an uplifting and a positive spin, that's how we get things like Kevin Sorbo's Hercules. I also mentioned the Disney's channels, Disney's Hercules movie. You get the Thor comic books, you get the Thor movies, because yes, they may be rooted in the debauchery of the times of that era. That's why people call comic books and whatnot modern day mythology. But we could learn from these stories, and all these stories, folklores, all that is only meant to help us learn from the past, so we don't repeat it, so we can evolve into be better humans.
Yeah, and I think for the villains, it's more of they're so misconstrued. We think that these villains, because they are called villains, trickster gods, all of that, or the demon hunter. and how bloodthirsty she was for Kali, that those are their faults. But in all honesty, if you look at it, how many times in these mythologies have they helped the gods? Have they helped the humans?
Exactly.
And so, are they really villains? And I think that's more relatable to the faults of mankind. But what about you, Dan?
I guess one of the things for me is with these gods, as much as I despise the gods, I do. The ones up on Olympus, the ones higher above everyone, because they claim to be perfect, yet they're not.
Yes,
but there's
Ares.
also something nice about that, you know? Where it's like, yeah, you could be trying your very best, and you're still going to fuck up. Mm-hmm. The thing I love about these characters like Koshe, like Medusa, is they are making the best of their situation. Yes, they're doing it wrong. Yes, they're fucking up. And yes, it's messy. Mm-hmm. But they're still trying. Even Baba Yaga knows that if the people found her, they would try to kill her.
Yeah.
They would make an example of her. But when she sees a young wanderer who genuinely needs her help, who isn't just another meal, she's like, all right, come on in. I'm going to make you some food. It might be people, but like...
Enjoy what I enjoy.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm going
food.
to tell you some secrets that'll help you on your way.
Go ahead.
Much like Hades, when you get the raw end of the deal, or when you're that member of the family who, I guess, isn't doing as well as the rest of them, and you still want to be included, but you know when you're included, there's that level of, so what's new with you? I felt that shit so many times. Like, my siblings are always
How
way better
many
than me.
times, Daniel?
Oh, I'll read you my diary someday.
Yeah.
No, Hannah Baker.
I mean, even among the gods, it's just constant competitiveness between the siblings, the villains, as we say in quotations,
right.
and the gods. It's a constant competition of who is better, who is the real hero. Mm-hmm. And most times, what we perceive as the hero is the villain.
A lot more times than we might realize.
Okay, I just had a random thought. So what separates mythology from factuality? Like, for example, is it because it goes so far back we can't actually say they were who they were? For example, what separates Joan of Arc's story and a King Arthur story for being Thor and Hercules? Because we know they exist, but there's a part of mysticism to those versus like, no, Thor couldn't have that. Hercules couldn't be that.
I think it came with more modern religions when Christianity and Catholicism came about. They dismissed all of the previous stories and they said, oh, these were just stories. They are myths. They never existed. And so majority of people, but that's why you have the paganistic religions or the Wiccans who believe in them.
And then the hypocrisy comes in. It's like, oh, that's pagan shit, but here's a bunny that lays eggs, and here's a man that gives
every
you
holiday
gifts.
is stolen from
They took everything from us. And then
us?
Yes.
All right, I'll let you have that.
Yeah.
I think we're
she
both on the
gonna give us
pagan.
everything.
Yeah, we're
Dan and I
yeah.
are both pagan.
Yeah. It's true. They took everything from us in that sense. And then they slapped their mascot on it and said, oh,
Redskins.
Yeah. The Nazarene Redskins.
Yeah.
And so one of the things there is
No, the Nazarene Whiteskins.
Jesus wasn't white if he even existed.
I just found out his mom was actually from Africa. Like,
Yes.
I did not
They
know
also,
that.
well, no, they went to Africa.
His mom was literally Mary J. Blige.
No, they went to Africa. So, anyway.
Yes. Let's be professional.
There had to be some kind of, whether the Christians want to admit it or not, some kind of magic there to silence all the rest of it. Because at a time, before the Crusades, before it got radicalized, it existed alongside all these other mythologies.
Yep.
And the belief, maybe like a tulpa, maybe like a mythological tulpa, the more people believed in it, the more it existed.
Wait, what's a tulpa?
A tulpa is something that if you believe in so hard will manifest itself as what you believe it is.
Oh, like Freddy Krueger.
Yes.
If you believe, he can kill you. If you don't believe, he ain't got power.
There's also a supernatural episode, I want to say season 1, where they hear about a ghost in a town and then they keep changing the information online, so the ghost keeps changing because people are like, oh, well, it does this. Oh, well, it's invulnerable to this.
Oh shit! Like kind of like how Marvel introduced the Sentry. Like if nobody remembers me, I can't exist.
No one remembers me, I'm not here.
Yeah.
Or like not Boar, but Odin's brother.
Cole.
Cole, yeah. They took him from
Which is why
knowledge
fear itself had to happen.
because nobody remembers, so he couldn't give him powers.
So the same thing.
Bangers and mash.
You silence these histories. You silence these traditions. These handed down by generation to generation
with the
stories.
noose of your propaganda.
Yes. And that's when you create another thick layer to the veil. Instead of the veil having been open and a two-way street where these creatures could come here and these, legends could be here, or the folklore creatures like the Baba Yaga and Koshe.
And Johnny Appleseed.
Once you cut off that belief, it's harder for anyone to pass through.
It is.
Yep. Because and that's why you see that saying where the gods are diminishing because nobody believes in them anymore.
And I'm ready to set up like 5 different five different altars in my room just to be like, okay. And I think that'd be kind of cool if we all went back to having those gods again. We could pray to those gods, and if we did,
I still even mention Basset in my own house because of my 2 cats.
But imagine this. I want to throw this idea out there. You set up altars to these gods. Pick a god that you align with, and then we get their reincarnation, as if a post-Ragnarok self came to fruition, a modern age deity.
Oh, me as Basset.
Exactly, and once again, because this is a whole nother podcast, if these gods, I'm speaking about all of them because I didn't go to one specifically, were to come back today and be like, hey, I'm so-and-so, motherfucker, like, no, you crazy, you're nuts.
Yes.
Fuck that shit. So it's even harder now to actually believe in gods, even if you already believe in gods. Because it's easy to say, like, I believe it, but if I came to you like, yo, I'm Thor reincarnated, like, nigga, where your hammer? I'm like, it's not all I'm about. I'm just, like, in Ragnarok, the series on Netflix, it's like, no, you crazy. But then you find out, no, he ain't. These motherfuckers are wolves and shit on the low.
Even Earth 1610 of Marvel, and again, next week we're going to get into the Marvel side of it.
Exactly.
In Earth 1610, they think he's just a hippie. And he's there talking to, I want to say it is, not Hogan.
Nicholas of the Fury?
No, Hogan. There's Hogan. Who's the fat one? Fandral?
Oh, yeah.
And he's talking to him in a cafe, and someone walks up, and they're like, and he's like, can't you see?
No, that's Volstagg.
Volstagg, yeah. And he's like, oh, my friend would like something. Like, what friend? And he's like, oh, yeah, they can't see me. They don't believe in me. They don't know I'm here. And everyone thinks he's just a crazy person.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we're coming to the end of the show now, and I guess last week we talked about some other materials that you could watch, that you could read, that you could listen to. New recommendations for this week, because this is mythology is a part of who we are and who we were as people. When we were in the caves, when we were growing, we looked to these gods, and if mythology is to be believed, then they guided us as well as took advantage of our daughters and turned some of us into spiders.
If I believe it.
I would say my recommendation is from Edith Hamilton, who wrote a book called Greek Mythology. And it literally has all of the stories of the gods and also minor stories of even the tree, naiads, and nymphs.
Yggdrasil? The tree from Norse mythology?
Yggdrasil.
I thought
No, just tree nymphs and the smaller characters.
The tree freaks.
Yeah. Hey.
They like that sap.
And you see your god Pan and Cupid and all of the minor gods or deities.
Cupid, original Robin Hood.
Yeah.
I respect him.
Well, he's not original Robin Hood, Cupid, but
Yo, he was stealing hearts.
Yeah.
Robin Hood's. I'm just saying.
Edith Hamilton, Greek Mythology, is a great book to get you started to love Greek mythology. What about you, Kelsey?
Coming now, so you better get the party started. I'm coming. What I'm about to we're just gonna edit that shit out. But what I would like to recommend for today is actually a comic book given to me by the lovely Michelle with no intro called God is Dead. Am I correct?
Yes.
And it's basically about the different.
That is the Hickman.
Yes.
I only read the first volume, and it was chill as fuck. It's basically about all the most popular pantheons, like the Greek, the Norse, the Egyptians, the Aztec gods coming back to Earth to claim their states and their turf. Like, no, the old gods are back. Let's take this shit back over. Let's go back to the days of old. But then within that, they're like, nah, only one of us could reign supreme. So you have all these factions of gods taking each other out while the humans are trying to figure out how to take out the gods. Because now the humans were like, gods ain't gods, they're just organisms. Yeah. We could
how dare you have more power than I do?
Yeah, we could extract the DNA, figure out how to become them. similar to how Victor Von Doom, Doctor Doom in the comic books, was experimenting on Asgardian civilians and trying to figure out how to incorporate that shit into him and make him stronger Doom people. But anyway, that's what I want to recommend. I'm gonna cut that shit real short. It was a cool read. I really do need to get back on reading the other volumes because I would like to see where the series goes, because it's always fascinating, because you never know. Tomorrow could be the day when they come.
Yep.
And who's to say that the aliens aren't the old gods coming back to look on the experience the same way the Kree did with the Inhumans? But I'm gonna pass this shit to
Just
Daniel,
like
bro.
Ancient Aliens on History Channel.
Yerp. Choo choo.
Didn't know if they were going to do that train run again.
Oh, word. I know, right?
You, Dan, what recommendations do you have?
Real quick, did we recommend Ragnarok last week?
I think Michelle talked about
Yeah.
it.
Okay. Damn, that was going to be my
Yeah, be
recommendation this
original.
week. Yeah, I thought about
Why
that
don't
because I
you?
just... Let me think a second.
So,
'Cause
pumpkin spice.
I was like... I guess what I would recommend, especially if we're talking about the Bible as a mythology, there is a series by Jonathan Hickman, East of West.
oh,
And it talks about the four horsemen of the apocalypse and the beliefs of all these people in a alt history future.
I still need to read that.
Oh
you
my
gave me a
God.
copy
why
of
every
that.
time you tell me this, I'm just like, wait, what? It's about the
the
apocalypse?
four horsemen of the
I
apocalypse.
swear every time you tell me, you never mention that aspect.
It's
You just-
literally how I start.
You literally just say, you need to read this.
Yeah,
Because
no, he
I'm
told
like,
me what it was about
word.
when he gifted it to me,
Yeah.
but
How
I got
could I
so
not
caught
read
up in
this?
reading everything you've been giving me. So
No, okay, so East of West is about
we
the
gotta talk
horseman
about that shit
Death,
too.
who is looking for his wife, who was taken away from him, and he does not want to start the apocalypse. But the other three horsemen are like, fine, we'll do this ourselves. Let's go kill Death and get this thing going.
How do you kill death?
Exactly. It's an alt history where the Civil War never ended, but the two parts of America became their own nations. The Native Americans.
Whoa.
I'm not
oh,
done.
almost like High Castle.
Yeah, yes,
Okay,
yes.
okay.
Man of the High Castle is also that one of those
Yeah.
fun alt histories. But the Native Americans became the most technologically advanced people.
Red Wakanda.
Yes.
So they're still African slaves.
No.
That's all my own question.
They created like their own New Orleans.
Okay.
And they.
Neo Negro Tokyo?
Yep.
Oh.
You would love it.
I'm
There's
gonna
a
read that
king
shit.
there.
You should have told me
there
that.
are gunslingers there.
You should have told me
and
that.
then you've got the Asian people, like, and they are a dynasty, but also a dynasty that sees the future
Dynasty
by
Warriors?
looking to the past and become their own great, amazing nation.
Their algorithm.
But the thing is, all of these nations have ties to the Horsemen of the Apocalypse. They all signed knowing the end would come, and it would be one of their descendants. To do
So
this.
is each one designated to a certain horseman? Okay, I was like, maybe the black.
They are all the
represented
horsemen's bitches.
Yeah.
Oh, so it's not a specific, like, it's not like New Orleans cool with pestilence and the Indians are cool with famine. It's not like that. They just.
So if you're
all
going to get
cool
into
with it.
gods and prophecies and creatures that should not exist, you need to
Creatures.
read East of West.
Oh, I'm
So
gonna
that's a
do that
great
shit, man.
recommendation because next week we're going into mythology and comic books.
Comic
Yeah.
books.
If I could give one more recommendation.
Yeah.
Why not? It's
Uprooted.
our podcast. We do whatever
Yeah,
the fuck we want
Uprooted
to.
is a book about.
sorry, one more
It's
time?
called Uprooted.
Uprooted. Okay.
And this one is more, like I said, folklore kind of based, where
Okay.
you never go into the forest. The trees will kill you.
Yeah.
There are dark wizards who may be dragons. And it's about a young girl who finds magic inside of her, and it sounds like it's like, oh, this is a YA book. It's not.
Yeah.
This is dark,
Dark.
and amazing and well worth the read.
I don't like how some people say YA like it's a slur. Like, it's not saying that you them is like YA. I'm like, what's wrong with YA?
Because
No,
What's
because
wrong with
some YA books are written in such
For
simplistic-
YAs.
exactly.
Yeah.
such simplistic format
Yeah.
that people who like a more mature reading can't really appreciate. We can
Exactly.
appreciate
And
it, but we
then-
don't enjoy it to the depth that we
Then
want.
don't. But don't sit here and act like
Yeah.
it's so beneath you. Like,
No.
No,
Of course
I
not.
don't think that's.
No, I'm not
what-
saying you. I'm
no.
just saying in general. Some
am-
people say it like,
am I gonna read that Hunger Games prequel? No.
no, I didn't read the books. I watched the movie.
The movie.
The books were amazing.
I couldn't get past the first one.
If you read the books to the entirety, I think where if you read Wicked and it was kind of at their the base and it was like you didn't really read in depth to it, Hunger Games and Wicked may be young adult books, but they are actually very politically driven. You just have to read the undertones.
And Wicked is absolutely one of my favorite musicals. If you ever get a chance to see it live,
It's great.
holy shit.
It's phenomenal. I saw it.
I'll tell you guys a story about how I got middle third row back seats. One time.
Word. Okay. But
We'll definitely have to hear that sometime.
Wicked has not been adapted for a theatrical release, right? I know that was in the
not
work
yet.
at
They've
night.
been- yeah.
I'm about to
They've
say
been
with
working on it
Disney
for a
and shit, I'm
while.
like, they already hammered it. I'm like,
They
that's when I
were-
was gonna try to watch it. Like, all right, I heard they're gonna do the version. That's what I'm gonna go to because I fuck with musicals.
Yes, they were even looking at Leah Michele from Glee to play Elphaba because she
Until her
bears a
reputation
resemblance
has been
to.
No. But
Yep.
that's the end thing with Glee because they brought old girl
They brought
from there
Idina Menzel
into the
and
show to
Kristen
play her
Chenoweth,
mom,
yes.
biological mom, in the show, and also
Absolutely.
she dated Tay Diggs
But
as well.
unfortunately, she's tarnished her career.
She
she
one
did?
not only is she awful to everyone on set.
Oh, you talking about Leah Michele?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Rachel Berry's a bitch, so make sure
and
bitch play
Leah
a bitch on the
Michele
show.
is
No,
not
Leah
far
Michele,
off from
yeah.
the character.
No, I'm saying like I know I'm a Glee. Don't do that.
Now Idina Menzel and Kristen Chenoweth
Don't
have
do that.
always
Been
Don't do
amazing.
always been amazing to everyone they work with.
Yes.
Been amazing to the people they work for, and made everyone feel welcome.
Yeah.
Let it go. Got
So
me through
hopefully
some
we
real
get those
shit.
into a musical format and for movies.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Real quick, favorite musical number one.
Oh, it's a three-way tie.
Just the first one that comes to your mind.
Shit, it's a three-way tie.
Just all right.
The producers,
Okay. Ew.
Book of Mormon,
Word.
Wicked.
All right.
If I had to pick one, Anastasia.
Grease. Cool. Let's go.
So here we are at the end. Obviously, I love doing this with you guys. I know you guys do too. Because
Well,
of
don't
the-
assume what I think.
No, the drum text you send me, you just say enough.
Yo, shh.
Kelsey, anything you'd like to plug other than that, just anything at all, and where can the people find you?
Yo, I plugged what I plugged. You already know what it is. But you
Gross.
always can find me. Facebook, Kelsey DeAndre
Sketchy.
Greer, the whole slave name. The government ID is right there for y'all, baby. Also, Instagram, Snapchat, Kels for show, because I am Kels for show. And yeah, that's all I got to say for right now. Oh, now just think about it. I do want to plug something real quick. It's an episode of Daria when she interacts with all the physical embodiments of certain holidays. I don't know what season it is, what's the episode called, but I love Daria growing up. That's what I want to plug real quick because holidays are mythologies as well. What about you, Michelle? With
I
your
have to
intro?
agree. I love Daria. I feel like she's my spirit animal.
I was literally about to say, nigga, you are so Daria. This is
am.
my life.
Well, thank you. That's a compliment.
That's all the things I give, baby.
You can find me on Facebook as Michelle Gideon. That's 2 L's, not 1 L. And or on Instagram as Emily Gideon. Gideon, like the Bible distributors at your hotel.
Because hotel
That's
everybody. Even
no
the mayor.
association though.
And you, Rojas.
Oh, well, I guess if I had to plug one thing, even if it's not related, would be the podcast Tanis. And it's in a world full of Google and being able to search every information, sometimes finding a true mystery that's unsearchable is amazing. And it deals with real life stuff weaved through with a fictional narrative that creates this world that makes you question everything. It's fantastic. You can find me on Facebook, Daniel Rojas. On Instagram, Blue Morpho, one word where the O's are zeros.
Ooh.
And you could probably find me looking behind you, wherever you go.
You can
God
find me.
damn, I hate to see you leave, but I love to watch you walk away. You can find us on Facebook, Escaping Podcast, or on Instagram, Escaping Podcast. And if you or anyone else you know would like to have your music featured on the show, email us at escaping.podcast@gmail.com. We'd love to hear about some of your favorite heroes and villains from mythology and folklore. Go ahead and comment on any of our posts on Facebook and Instagram, or email us and let us know. We look forward to hearing from you. Today we are leaving you with some music. And actually, Kelsey, if I'm not mistaken, you were the captions at your show and Escaping are sharing some music for the whole EP of this.
Actually, it's not my show. It's my co-host show, Roscoe's podcast. I'm not.
I don't know if I've met Roscoe.
Oh, you haven't? You should.
I should.
Yes, since you watch everything.
Yeah, since I'm there recording with you guys.
Yes.
But this is music by a good friend of ours, and he asked us to call him Prefab Soul, so I don't know if we're allowed to use his real name.
I did not know that, but Black Lives Matter, and I don't respect him. Prefab Soul.
Prefab Soul.
Prefab Soul. Like, shout out to you, brother. I got you.
Yes.
I got you.
So this is track 1 off his EP. Make sure
Uno.
you check it out. We're going to have a link in the description. This is Rocket by Prefab Soul. Thank you so much for listening. We love you. We'll see you next week. And remember, there can only be one chum bucket.
And always, guys, take the time out your day Self-care is the first care. It's the best care. And no matter where you are, no matter what's your destination,
Take a shower.
Take a shower, yes. Don't be stinky. Be clean, because cleanliness is next to godliness.
Whoop, whoop.
But remember this. You can always be an escapee. Stay uncanny, y'all.